Good morning, students. We're going to read the end of the play today. So remember, we're doing this ed puzzle till 116, which is the end of the play. And then on Friday, you will have an open book quiz, which will conclude and be due on Sunday night. So I just want to remind you before I get started that this is the last week of academics, and our last day of assignments is June 16th. And your last day to hand in any late assignments is June 19th. All right, let's get started. What did we hit on? The table. Did something fall off? I think, yes. I hope that it wasn't that little glass horse with the horn. Yes. Oh, is it broken? Now it is just like all the other horses. It's lost its horn. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. You'll never forgive me. I bet that was your favorite piece of glass. I don't have favorites much. It's no tragedy. Freckles, glass breaks so easily, no matter how careful you are. The traffic, the jars, the shelves, and things fall off of them. Still, I'm awfully sorry that I was the cause. She smiles. I'll just imagine he had an operation. The horn was removed to make him feel less freakish. They both laugh. Now he will feel more at home with the other horses, the ones that don't have horns. Ha, that's very funny. Suddenly he's serious. I'm glad to see that you have a sense of humor. You know, you're, very different. Surprisingly different from anyone else I know. He becomes soft and speaks with genuine feeling. Do you mind me telling you that? Laura is too, shy to speak. I mean it in a nice way. She nods shyly. You make me feel I don't know how to put it. I'm usually pretty good at expressing things, but this is something that I don't know how to say. Laura touches her throat and clears it, turns the unicorn in her hand. Has anyone ever told you that you were pretty? Well, you are. In a very different way from anybody else, and all the nicer because of the difference, too. His voice becomes low and husky. Laura turns away, nearly faint with the novelty of emotions. I wish that you were my sister. I teach you how to have some confidence in yourself. The different people are not like other people, but being different is nothing to be ashamed of. Because other people are not such wonderful people. They're 100 times 1,000. You're 1 times 1. They walk all over the earth. You stay here. They're common as weeds, but you're blue roses. But blue is wrong for roses. It's right for you. You're pretty. In what respect am I pretty? In all respects, believe me. Your eyes, your hair are pretty. Your hands are pretty. He catches hold of her hand. You think I'm making this up because I'm invited to dinner and have to be nice. Hold on 1 second, students. Hey, Google, stop. Sorry about that. You think I'm making this up because I'm invited to dinner and have to be nice. Oh, I could do that. I could put on an act for you, Laura, and say lots of things without being very sincere. But this time I am. I'm talking to you sincerely. I happen to notice you have this inferiority complex that keeps you from feeling comfortable with people. Somebody needs to build your confidence up and make you proud instead of shy and turning away and blushing. Somebody ought to kiss you, Laura. His hand slips slowly up her arm to her shoulder. Music swells tumultuously. He suddenly turns about and kisses her on the lips. When he releases her, Laura sinks on the sofa with a bright, dazed look, and he backs away and fishes in his pocket for a cigarette. Stumble John. He lights a cigarette and avoids her look. There's girlish laughter from Amanda in the kitchen. Laura slowly raises and opens her hand. It still contains the little broken glass animal. Stumble John, I shouldn't have done that. That was way off the beam. You don't smoke, do you? She looks up smiling, not hearing the question. He sits behind her a little gingerly. She looks at him speechlessly, waiting. He coughs decorously and moves a little farther aside as he considers the situation and senses her feelings dimly with perturbation. Would you care for a mint? Peppermint? Lifesavers? My pocket's regular drugstore wherever I go. He pops a mint into his mouth and gulps and decides to make a clean breast of it. He speaks slowly and gingerly. Laura, if I had a sister like you, I'd do the same thing as Tom. I bring over fellas and introduce her to them, the right type of boys, type to appreciate her. Only, well, he made a mistake about me. Maybe I've got no call to be saying this. That may not have been the idea in having me over, but what if it was? There's nothing wrong with that. The only trouble is that in my case, I'm not in a situation to do the right thing. I can't take down your number and say I'll phone. I can't call up next week and ask for a date. I thought I had to better explain the situation in case you misunderstood it and hurt your feelings. Slowly, very slowly, Laura's look changes, her eyes returning slowly from his to the ornament in his palm. Amanda utters another laugh in the kitchen. You won't call again? No, Laura, I can't. As I was just explaining, I've got strings on me, Laura. I've been going steady. I go out all the time with a girl named Betty. She's a homegirl like you and Catholic and Irish and great in many ways. We get along fine. I met her last summer on a moonlight boat trip up the river to Alton on the Majestic. Well, right away from the start, it was love. Laura sways slightly forward and grips the arm of the sofa. He fails to notice now, enwrapped in his own comfortable being. Being in love has made a new man out of me. Leaning stiffly forward, clutching the arm of the sofa, Laura struggles visibly with her storm, but Jim is oblivious. The power of love is pretty tremendous. Love is something that changes the world, Laura. It happened that Betty's aunt took sick. She got a wire and had to go to Centralia. So Tom, when he asked me to dinner, I naturally just accepted the invitation, not knowing that I'm Stumblejohn. He flops back on the sofa. The holy candles in the altar of Laura's face have been snuffed out. There is a look of almost infinite desolation. Jim glances at her uneasily. I wish that you would say something. She bites her lip, which was trembling, and then bravely smiles. She opens her hand again in the broken glass ornament. Then she gently takes his hand and raises it level with his own. She carefully places the unicorn in the palm of his hands, then pushes her fingers closed upon it. What are you doing that for? You want me to have him, Laura? What for? A souvenir. She roos unsteadily and crouches beside Lim Victrola to wind it up. At this moment, Amanda rushes brightly back into the front room. She bears a pitcher of fruit punch in an old-fashioned cut glass pitcher and a plate of macaroons. The plate has gold border and poppies painted on it. Well, 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 isn't that air delightful after the shower? I've made you children a little liquid refreshment. Jim, do you know that song about lemonade? Lemonade, lemonade, made in the shade and stirred with a spade, good enough for any old maid. No, I've never heard it. Why, Laura, you look so serious. We were having a serious conversation. Good. Now you're better acquainted. Yeah. You modern young people are much more serious-minded than my generation. I was so gay as a girl. You haven't changed, Mrs. Wingfield. Tonight I'm rejuvenated, the gaiety of the occasion, Mr. O'Connor. She tosses her head back with a pot of laughter. Ooh, I'm baptizing myself. Here, let me. There now, I discovered we had some maraschino cherries. I dumped them in, juice and all. Whitman, stop. You shouldn't have gone to that trouble, Mrs. Wingfield. Trouble? Trouble? Why, it was loads of fun. Didn't you hear me cutting up in the kitchen? I bet your ears were burning. I told Tom how done with him I was for keeping you to himself so long. He should have brought you over much, much sooner. Well, now that you've found your way, I want you to be a frequent caller. Not just occasional, but all the time. We're going to have a lot of gay times together. I see them coming. Just breathe that air, so fresh and the moon so pretty. I'll skip back out. I don't know where my place is when young folks are having a serious conversation. Oh, don't go out, Mrs. Wingfield. The fact of the matter is, I've got to be going. Going now? You're joking. Why, it's only the shank of the evening, Mr. O'Connor. Well, you know how it is. You mean you're a young working man and have to keep working men's hours. We'll let you off early tonight, but only on the condition the next time you stay later. What's the best night for you? Isn't Saturday night the best night for you working men? I have a couple of time clocks to punch, Mrs. Wingfield. One at morning, another one at night. My, but you are ambitious. You work at night? No, ma'am. Not work, but Betty. He crosses deliberately to pick up his hat. Betty? Betty? Who's Betty? Oh, just a girl. The girl I go steady with. He smiles. The sky starts to fall. Oh. Is it a serious romance, Mr. O'Connor? We're going to be married the second Sunday in June. Oh, how nice. Tom didn't mention that you were engaged to be married. The cat's not out of the bag at the warehouse yet. You know how they are. They call you Romeo and stuff like that. He stops at the oval mirror to put on his hat. Carefully, he shapes the brim and the crown to give a discreetly dashing effect. It's been a wonderful evening, Miss Wingfield. I guess this is what they mean by Southern hospitality. It really wasn't anything at all. I hope it didn't seem like I was rushing off, but I promised Betty I'd pick her up at the Wabash Depot, and by the time I get my jalopy down there and the train will be in. Some women are pretty upset if you keep them waiting. Yes, I know. A tyranny of women. She extends her hand. Goodbye, Mr. O'Connor. I wish you luck and happiness and success, all three of them, and so does Laura. Don't you, Laura? Yes. Goodbye, Laura. I'm going to treasure that souvenir, and don't you forget the good advice I gave you. So long, Shakespeare. Still bravely grimacing, Amanda closes the door on the gentleman caller. Then she turns back to the room with a puzzled expression. She and Laura don't dare face each other. Laura crouches beside the Victrola to wind it. Things have a way of turning out so badly. I don't believe that I would play the Victrola. Well, 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 our gentleman caller was engaged to be married. Tom. Yes, Mother? Come in here a minute. I want to tell you something awfully funny. He enters with a macaroon and a glass of lemonade. Has the gentleman caller gone away already? The gentleman caller has made an early departure. What a wonderful joke you played on us. How do you mean? You didn't mention that he was engaged to be married. Jim? Engaged? That's what he just informed us. Well, I'll be jiggered. I didn't know about that. That seems very peculiar. What's peculiar about it? Didn't you call him your best friend down at the warehouse? He is, but how do I know? It seemed extremely peculiar that you wouldn't know your best friend was going to be married. The warehouse is where I work, not where I know things about people. You don't know things anywhere. You live in a dream. You manufacture illusions. He crosses to the door. Where are you going? I'm going to the movies. That's right. Now that you've made us make such a fool out of ourselves, the effort, the preparations, all the expense, the new floor lamp, the rug, the clothes for Laura, all for what? To entertain some other girl's fiancé? Go to the movies, go. Don't think about us. A mother deserted, an unmarried sister who's crippled and has no job. Don't let anything interfere with your selfish pleasure. I'd just go to the movies. All right, I will. The more you shout about my selfishness to me, the quicker I'll go, and I won't go to the movies. Go then. Then go to the moon, you selfish dreamer. Tom smashes his glass on the floor. He plunges out on the fire escape, slamming the door. Laura screams, cut by the door. Tom goes to the rail and grips it desperately, lifting his face in the chill white moonlight. Tom's closing speech is timed with the interior pantomime. The interior scene is played through a view through soundproof glass. Amanda appears to be making a comforting speech to Laura, who is huddled upon the sofa. Now that we cannot hear the mother's speech, her silliness is gone and she has dignity and tragic beauty. Laura's dark hair hides her face until at the end of the speech she lifts it to smile at her mother. Amanda's gestures are slow and graceful, almost dance-like, as she comforts the daughter. At the end of her speech, she glances at the moment at the father's picture, then withdraws through the portieres. At the close of Tom's speech, Laura blows out the candle, ending the play. I didn't go to the moon. I went much further. For time is the longest distance between places. Not long after that, I was fired for writing a poem on the lid of a shoebox. I left St. Louis. I descended the step of this fire escape and for a last time and followed from them on in my father's footsteps. Attempting to find emotion which was lost in space, I traveled around a great deal. The city swept about me like dead leaves, leaves that were brightly colored but torn away from the branches. I would have stopped, but I was pursued by something. It always came upon me unaware, taking me altogether by surprise. Perhaps it was a familiar bit of music. Perhaps it was only a piece of transparent glass. Perhaps I am walking along a street at night in some strange city before I have found companions. I pass the lighted window of a shop where perfume is sold. The window is filled with pieces of colored glass, tiny transparent bottles in delicate colors, like bits of a shattered rainbow. Then all at once my sister touches my shoulder. I turn around and look into her eyes. Oh, Laura, Laura, I tried to leave you behind me, but I am more faithful than I intended to be. I reach for a cigarette. I cross the streets. I run into the movies or a bar. I buy a drink. I speak to the nearest stranger. Anything that can blow your candles out. Laura bends over the candles. For nowadays, the world is lit by lightning. Blow out your candles, Laura, and say goodbye. She blows the candles out. The scene dissolves. So the important thing to remember about the ending, guys, is Tom does end up following in the father's footsteps and abandoning them. That piece at the end where he sees Laura is really in his mind from the guilt of abandoning his mother and sister. I also want you to remember that this was the 1930s. The mother and sister really would have a lot of trouble finding a job that would make them money enough to survive. And when Tom leaves them and abandons them, it really is kind of the final nail in their coffin as well. All right, remember we have a quiz on Friday, open book, and the last day to hand in assignments is June 19th.